What's up, everybody? This is Scott from NoLightToMetal.com.
And this is Trog from Troglodyte Dawn, Stone Groove Records, and Stone Grooves and Deep Cuts.
There you go. Well, that makes me Scott from Ultimatum and Once Dead and NoLightToMetal.com and the Hard Metal Board. There you go.
What was the radio show that you did with Jeff Thrasher?
I don't remember.
Okay. There was a radio show in there too.
All right, so anyhow, this is going to be my first edition of Hard and Heavy 1980s. Getting out of the 1970s, going into 1980s, and this is going to be 1980.
Yep.
Killer year for metal.
Yes, it was.
The new wave of British heavy metal movement was in full swing. U.S. bands were kind of lost at the time. You know, the big bands were all going all these different directions.
Punk had killed classic rock effectively, somewhat.
So even a band like like Kiss, were experimenting with their sound, and then we're going to show a couple before we get into our top 25 list. We're going to show a few honorable mentions. And this first band is definitely one that experimented with their sound,
and were incredibly successful.
Yeah, one of the
even
few.
though they got away from their heavier roots. They had enormous commercial success after they did this, and that's Queen.
So we got The Game, which was definitely a change of sound for them.
Oh yeah.
Still had great songs like Dragon Attack.
Oh, Dragon Attack rules. DT Seizure used to play that.
Great heavy song.
And Flash Gordon, their first soundtrack attempt, which personally, I love this album. And I love the movie too. It's total cheese whiz, but it's killer. And there's some great cuts on this album.
I like this record too. And the other thing I like about this record's hard to find a lot of stinking cut in it.
Mine doesn't have one.
Mine doesn't either. It took forever to find one, but I got one. So
got to put Queen in there.
Yep, Queen. A couple more honorable mentions.
Yep.
Just recently, go ahead.
Just lost Bruce Crump this week from Molly Hatchet, and they had a couple releases in 1980.
There's Bruce Crump right there.
Yep, Bruce.
So this is their Beating the Odds was the official release. This is the first album for vocalist Jimmy Farrar.
Yep.
Actually, I got to see him on this tour twice.
Third album for artist Frank Frazetta with his Berserker artwork, which is kick-ass.
Yeah, it's a great album cover. Very metal. Not a metal album by any stretch of the imagination. It's definitely Southern rock, but
heavy Southern rock.
Heavy Southern rock.
And this live one was a radio promo, and it's got a live album, and it's got a copy of Beating the Odds in here too.
Yep.
Which is kind of a cool little set right here.
Yeah, it was a promo thing. It's fairly easy to find, but it's also kind of rare too. So, it sells for about $30 on eBay. So there you go.
Bruce Crump.
Molly Hatchet. And then the last one,
which kind of launches us into the heavy.
Yeah, this was a dedication to AJ Pero, who just passed away. These are the first couple single releases from Twisted Sister.
Yep.
New York City bands, very popular where I was growing up. I grew up on the East Coast, and I actually bought this release as a new album and a new release. Ladies Boy.
Yeah, I got them years later. Yeah, so this was the second single. This has Bad Boys of Rock and Roll and Ladies Boy on it.
And this one has I'll Never Grow Up and Under the Blade. And Under the Blade, I mean, for 1980, that's a heavy song. I know people tend to call Twisted Sister a hair metal band. Not.
There's a little typo here. We dedicated this to AJ Pero, but he didn't play on these.
No, he didn't play on these ones. No, it wasn't
Tony Petrie played on these.
Right.
But AJ obviously played on the versions that came out on Under the Blade right after this.
But these are the albums. This is the only thing that was released by Twisted Sister in 1980, so that's why we showed them. So
cool
there
stuff.
you go. Queen, Molly Hatchet, Twisted Sister. Those are all 1980 releases.
Yep.
Now we're going to actually get into our, top 25 or so.
30, whatever.
We didn't count.
I'll start with this one.
You got it.
That. All right, Alice Cooper, another one who, I mean, Alice is like a chameleon anyway. He changed with the times, not so much just to make money, but that's what he did. And Flush the Fashion was a huge change for him. What was the one previous to this? Alice Cooper's show?
The Alice Cooper show, yeah.
Yeah, so that was the end of an era, kind of the Welcome to My Nightmare era, ending up with that. Flush the Fashion was like, it was like a new wave album practically. I was just telling Scott, this goes well with the first Cars
album, exactly.
In fact, I used to have a cassette tape, a Seartron, like one of the blue 90-minute cassette tapes. This was on one side and the Cars was on the other, and it was a great listen.
He even changed his look for this album.
Oh, totally. And what I just found out from watching Super Duper Alice Cooper, the documentary, This was the Coop's cocaine period, which I've never heard him admit to anything besides alcohol, but he got into coke pretty heavy for this album and the two after it. Definitely a departure, but there's not a bad song on here. Full of the Coop sense of humor, and just a new musical, more of a new wave direction, but still plenty of that.
Clones was a cover, right?
Yeah, Clones was Talk was a cover. I don't remember if Clones was a cover. I'm not
we may be
sure.
wrong.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I just love the whole record from beginning to end.
It's just.
I think it's just, you had to be there.
It's clever. It's just clever as hell. Listen to his words, and they're just funny.
We were there. Yeah, that's the thing.
Great album.
All right, Nazareth, Malice in Wonderland.
Yeah. Really
Really cool, bizarre album cover. Probably not their most well-known album, but it's got one of the biggest hits on it. Holiday. Can't even say the song without, I tend to think of the Scorpions when I think of Holiday, but
True.
I flipped this over when we were going through these records, and that was the first thing that came to my head. It's a holiday.
And the one I really like on this is Hearts Grown Cold, and I say like it because it's one of those ones I listen to and it just rips my heart out.
Yeah, it's a good album, Nazareth. Not super duper heavy,
No.
but it's a good hard rock album from 1980. So there you go.
All right, next we've got definite culprits as far as sound experimentation.
Oh yeah.
Kiss was headed in this direction. I mean, the one prior to this was Dynasty.
Yep.
And originally they had another producer lined up for this.
And they ended up with Vinnie Poncia, right?
Which he just made it sound. I wish I could hear the original mixes before he made them very glossy.
Sure. Really love this album. Ace is all over this album. That's what I really like about it.
And Peter's not at all.
Yeah.
His picture's on it.
Anton Fig played most of the drums, as I recall.
Anton's a great drummer. All right, so we got the goodies like we do in every Kiss album.
You can't have a Kiss album without the order form.
We got the order form.
That's kind of blasphemy, isn't it?
True.
Yeah. So.
We got the unmasked poster. The literal unmasking would have come a couple years later on MTV.
Yep, 84.
Yeah, or 4 years later.
Yeah. I think it was 84, wasn't it?
We got the vinyl that has the same picture on the label, which is cool. Kiss was always good for that. And the non-picture sleeve, which is black.
Which was one of the first in a long time where you didn't have a picture sleeve in there.
True. And I mean, the album cover art is pretty...
Loved it.
Still awesome. It's a comic strip, and it's just like, wow. This did not predate the comic book, I don't believe. But it was just, Kiss was familiar with being in comic strip form. I mean, I like this album. Kiss could do no wrong. This is where they really started to slide for me, but I think there's great music on here. Is That You as a cover? Naked City's probably one of Gene's better songs. Yeah.
Shandy's a great song.
Shandy's a good tune.
Torpedo Girl, I mean...
A couple good love songs on here. What Makes the World Go Round, You're All That I Want.
Torpedo Girl is classic Ace.
Yeah. And was it Two Sides of the Coin? One of just cheesiest lines. You decide to pick a mate because you're tired of all those dates. Go Ace.
Go Ace.
I like it. Most folks don't, but
I like it.
It was part of my childhood.
This is one of SMF Captain Howdy's picks for his favorite of 1980.
That's right.
Oh, and by the way, I did ask a bunch of VC members, prolific guys that I know and I'm friends with, what they picked. So some of these I'm going to be mentioning some names because they picked some of these albums. But of course, you can't have a Kiss album not mention John, SMF Captain Howdy. So there you go, John.
Right. Hey, John, that Twisted Sister Rough Cuts will be on the way very soon.
There you go. All right, so next up, Whitesnake, Ready and Willing. And this was practically a Deep Purple Mach 3 record. Because
John Lord and Ian Pace.
John Lord and Ian Pace, and of course David Coverdale.
Yep. Who else do we have? Neil Murray.
Neil Murray and Moody, Ben Moody, right?
Mickey Moody.
Mickey Moody. There you go.
Was wait a minute. Mickey Moody and Bernie Marsden were on here. That's right. To me, this is my favorite lineup of Whitesnake.
Yeah, this is the Whitesnake I enjoy. This is definitely it's bluesy, but this is what I would call the first wave of British heavy metal.
Yeah.
This is just like Deep Purple and Sabbath and all those kind of bands. They mixed in. They didn't have to stick to one formula.
Yeah, or maybe this is like first and a half wave.
There you go.
Since this grew out of Purple.
So anyhow, Whitesnake. I'm trying to think of one of my favorite songs on here. There's so many good songs in this album. No. Ready and Willing's a classic.
Sweet Talker.
Yeah. Fool for Your Lovin'.
Yeah,
which became a.
Which they did later on Slip of the
and they
Tongue.
made sound,
everyone's like, oh, what a great song.
What a great song.
Yeah, it came out like 9 years ago. Did you miss that one?
Whitesnake. All right, what's up next?
All right, we got, still in the classic rock firmly, Rush, Permanent Waves. I mean, really, it's Rush. You can't really what can you say? It's killer. It's great prog. A little more accessible than the predecessor, which was Hemispheres.
Yep.
What do we got? Spirit of Radio and Free Will are on here. I mean,
Right.
You know, two of the greatest Rush songs ever. But we also got some deeper cuts. Entre Nous is one of my favorites. I love that song. Just Between Us.
I love the growling bass tone on that album.
Yep.
That Rickenbacker, or as Lemmy would say, the Ricken Bastard.
Ricken Bastard. And it's cool. It's got the artwork has got, you know, multiple layers of meaning. We got permanent waves. Okay, we got the wave in the girl's hair. We got the waves in the ocean. We got her skirt waving in the breeze. I mean, they're just full of stuff like that. They were so good. And the guys waving in the background. Keep looking at it. I mean, Moving Pictures, the one after this, the cover's full of crap like that. It's just, that's what Rush does. They have multi-level layers of meaning and all that, and great stuff.
Yep. All right, so another Southern rock band, Blackfoot. Tomcat.
Yep.
Ricky Medlock. I mean, what can you say? It's funny about Blackfoot. They were more accepted in Europe than they were in the States for some reason, especially in heavy metal.
That's weird.
I don't get it. And they got this huge cult following over it. Especially, I remember reading in all the metal magazines back in the 80s, you know, Blackfoot was all over them.
Yeah.
But here they were like playing, you know, small clubs. And
they were like second fiddle to bands like Skinner and Molly Hatchet.
Which doesn't make sense because, I mean, they got to sound similar to Molly Hatchet, but they're really much heavier than Skinner ever was.
Yeah. Ricky Medlock was the original drummer for Skinner,
yep.
which is kind of cool. But I don't think they had the songwriting quite the way that Hatchet and Skinner did. That's to me, that's why they weren't.
Maybe.
I mean, they did have great songs. Don't get me wrong.
I think this is part of a trilogy of great records they released. All the Animal covers. So
yeah, Strikes and Marauder.
Right. And then I also should mention that the bass player in here, Jackson Spires, has since passed away a couple years ago, 2, 3, 4 years ago now.
Oh, did he?
Yep. So Jackson Spires is another one that's gone from us.
Too many dead music guys, man.
Tom Catton.
All right, keeping within that ladder, classic rock, Van Halen.
Oh yeah.
Women and Children First. I mean, this is when Van Halen was really still a force to be reckoned with. I mean, this is pre-Jump and all. I dug all that stuff okay, but I mean, this one, oh my God, there's some heavy guitar stuff on here. If Eddie has since said he was influenced by Tony Iommi, and if you're going to hear it anywhere, you're going to hear it on this album.
Yep.
I mean, listen to Romeo Delight, Lost Control, Take Your Whiskey Home. Just heavy stuff, and The Cradle Will Rock, and of course, you know, the big hits. Everybody wants some. Could This Be Magic? And A Simple Rhyme, Fools.
The whole album.
It's a killer album, and it's so like Devil May Care, or they just don't care. You know, there's some stuff on here that sounds so raw, but it totally works. And it's got. I'm not even going to share the poster in this one.
It was a game changer. It was a game changer in the 80s and in the late 70s. I mean,
it was.
People
and the one after this, Unchained, it just kind of kept up the same thing. But this one, to me, this is their heaviest.
Everybody wanted to be Eddie Van Halen around that time.
Yep.
Everybody was trying to do the tap-on thing, and great record. Great band shot too.
I mean, look at that. Just like. They had the world by the balls, really.
They did.
At this point.
Yep, they did.
Yep.
All right, next up.
Yep.
This is a real cute one. Blue Oyster Cult, Cultosaurus Erectus.
Awesome.
Oh, I love the cover art. I mean, it's weird to talk as much more about the cover art than the music, but
it's great.
How cute is that?
Yeah. How cute is that? And all right, let's see. Every album has had the Kronos symbol on it. You know, the hooked cross.
Right. This is the first one too.
It's on there. You gotta look. Right.
Oh, it's on the little spaceship.
it's like a millimeter tall. There's a little spaceship flying by the monster's head, and it's right on the front.
So go ahead and find it on your CD. I'm sure it's non-existent there.
And I love on the back they got the plesiosaurus looking things.
Yeah.
They look like huge sperms or something.
With giant heads.
And the archaeology, like the skull and the eggs, is like really cool. I mean, the concept is awesome. But who even did it? I bet you it was Hypnosis.
I wouldn't doubt it. I never even looked.
I want to know. One of my favorite BLC songs is on here, Black Blade. Love that song.
That's the thing about this record. Unlike a lot of other BOC records, from before it even the one after this. I mean, there wasn't a ton of hits, which is kind of why I like it a lot. It's a fairly heavy record for them too.
Yep, it's a good one. Definitely not overplayed.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not overplayed.
No, I thought it would have been like Hypnosis or something.
Doesn't say Hypnosis,
but it's a really thick concept. But
anyhow, Blue Oyster Cult.
Yep. All right, we're starting to morph a little bit from classic rock into more of the metal territory, or at least pre-metal in the 80s, we got Michael Schenker Group.
Yeah.
Michael Schenker Group album, which is, I mean, Michael's starting to let loose here. He's fresh out of UFO, which he did, you know, like, what, 10 years of just killer stuff with. And now he's on his own with Gary Barden on vocals. Armed and Ready's on here, Cry for the Nations, Victim of Illusion. It feels like a good thing, Into the Arena. It's just, the whole thing is great. Now, personally, I preferred MSG, the one after this, but this is just as strong, really.
It's a great album. I mean, Michael left UFO. He went from playing that. I mean, UFO were one of the first wavers, no doubt.
Yep.
But here, he was definitely one of the leaders of the second wave.
Yeah.
Of heavy metal. You want to keep calling it British heavy metal, but he's not British. So.
And the cover's kind of cool because it kind of represents. Michael disappeared from a UFO tour, like the Obsession tour. Nobody knew where he was. He was in some like a rehab or a mental hospital. He shows up, his hair's all cut off, and in this one, it looks like he's being experimented on. He's got electrodes attached to him. It kind of speaks to where he was at. You know, the guy was a drunk for sure. So, but also a killer guitar player.
Yep.
And I dig that cover. It's just drawing from real life, art imitating life, as they say.
This is the Cry for the Nation single.
Yep.
This is it's like a Japanese pressing.
What's on the B side of that? Armed and Ready Live.
Armed and Ready Live.
And
So.
Into the Arena.
And by the way, I should also mention that this collection of records that we're showing is actually a mix of Randy's stuff and my stuff. So we wanted to make sure we showed almost all of it on vinyl, as opposed to a mix of vinyl and CDs. So this is it's a good mix of collection here. So.
Yeah, maybe about half and half.
Yeah, maybe.
Half yours, half mine, maybe.
All right. This
next?
is actually one of the VC members, Metal Ron 777. Metal Ron 777. His pick.
Yes.
Was In Chinatown.
Excellent album.
First of all, awesome album cover. I don't want to talk about the album covers on every single one, but it is an awesome album cover.
Guest appearance on the Wayne's World movie as a poster in Garth's bedroom.
That's right. Yep. And then this was the first album to feature Snowy White, I believe, right?
Yes.
So,
And man, he did a killer job.
but everybody hated him. I don't know
Well,
why.
He's kind of like Bruce Kulick. He didn't have a lot of personality.
Right, and he wasn't. And he wasn't.
But he could play like a bastard.
He just wasn't Robbo,
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say this is a real heavy record. I actually think some of the '70s stuff was heavier, but I think it's more due to production than the playing, because I think the playing is super heavy.
Yep.
You got all that dual guitar harmonies on here and great songs. I mean, Chinatown, Sweetheart.
Yeah, the
Sugar
riff
Blues.
The riff in Chinatown's worth the price of admission.
Killer and Loose is a pretty dang heavy song.
Having a Good Time's a great one.
Hey You. It's
Genocide.
This it easily could have been. If I would have done just a top 10, this would have made my top 10.
Yeah, and one of Lynotte's romantic love song, Sweetheart song.
Sweetheart,
He's always going to make that appearance.
Great cover, back and front.
Great stuff. So, yeah. All right, what's next?
Moving
Following on the heels of Schenker.
Hey, Scorpions.
Animal Magnetism. First one without Schenker, first one with Matthias Jabs, his replacement.
Yep.
I'm sorry, not without Schenker. What am I saying?
Uli Roth. Uli Roth.
Love Drive came before this, and Schenker made an appearance on that one.
Right.
Matthias Jabs, that was his first one.
Right.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
So we didn't have Uli or Michael, so we put both of them.
I get confused with Love Drive in this one. I can't remember which came first, but oh my god. I mean, cover art is just suggestive as hell, as George Carlin would say, and Scorpions, that's what they did. Their album covers were suggestive and they were controversial, and starting with the Virgin Killer album, which everybody gasps at. This is just it's like, oh, why is she
Yeah.
You draw your own.
And that was Hypnosis, I believe. Wasn't it?
It should have been if it wasn't.
I'm pretty sure it was. I could be wrong.
Yes, it was. It was Hypnosis.
I thought so.
They did the best stuff, and I mean, it's art, and it definitely, like I said, you can draw your own. The dog being there definitely adds a layer of controversy. If you have a dirty mind.
Yeah.
So, favorite cuts on here? Oh my God, it's full of. Lady Starlight's probably my favorite metal ballad of like all time. Another heart ripper. Falling in Love, great riff. The Zoo, classic.
The Zoo. You know what? That's one of those early Zoo. I mean, when I heard the Zoo back, I was like at a metal shop. I heard it on or something like that.
Yeah.
Man, that song was just like, it just sounded so heavy back then.
And the title track, Animal Magnetism, is almost like a Doom kind of make it real. Great one. Don't make any promises your body can't keep. Great, solid Scorpions album as far as that like middle period when they really kind of crossed over into metal territory from the hard rock of the the Uli John years.
Yeah, it was like, again, like some of the other ones we talked about. It was kind of that crossover from the first wave of heavy metal to the sound that became the second wave of heavy metal. And
Yep.
Scorpions were one of the leaders in it. So I said in the beginning of the video about all those bands that like Kiss and Queen that kind of didn't know what to do with their sound. Scorpions knew what to do with their sound, and
they flowed seamlessly.
They flowed seamlessly into it, exactly.
Yep.
All right, next one up. So actually, I should have shown this one there. We'll do this one next.
Okay.
Aerosmith's Greatest Hits. Don't usually show Greatest Hits compilations in this video, but one of the biggest selling compilations, Greatest Hits albums of all time, and one of the biggest selling albums of 1980.
Plus, what did we have? This was my first Aerosmith record. I got it from the Columbia House Music Club. Remember?
Yeah.
Remember those RCA in Columbia House? Me and my buddy Chris, Alanette, hey bud. We had this way of kind of screwing them. And Chris always came up with these brilliant criminal plans, but one thing's cool on this one. Come Together was only available on the Sgt. Pepper soundtrack previously, and a lot of these are like remixed, like on Double Platinum.
Or edited versions.
Yeah, like Same Old Song and Dance was edited.
Sweet Emotions
Sweet
edited.
Emotion. Last Child, I believe, too.
Those
are the main ones. Yeah.
I always thought Remember Walking in the Sand was an odd choice to put on there, though. But
I think it was the single from Night in the Ruts, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. But anyhow, Aerosmith, one of my favorite bands.
Yep.
Not necessarily one of my favorite records by them, but a great record nonetheless. Top-selling album, one of the top-selling albums like the 80s, so we had to include it. So Aerosmith Greatest Hits.
Yeah. Oh, my turn, or you want to segue into Joe? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, another first waiver type band, UFO.
No Place to Run.
I put these guys and Thin Lizzy on pretty equal footing. It's kind of like Maiden and Priest. It's like, which do you like better? They just seem to go together to me. I mean, this was like the epitome of hard rock stuff. This was second album for Paul. Wait a minute, second?
First.
Wild, Willing, and Innocent was after this one? Okay, yeah. First album featuring Paul Chapman.
Paul Chapman, yep. We should look this stuff up before we do videos.
I know. I know. Got a couple different covers. This is the UK one. You can see the titles placed a little differently.
And there's the US one.
I prefer this one. I love this cover, just the way it looks. Just for some reason, it just flows better. Favorite cuts on here? Oh my gosh. I love Paul Chapman. I mean, some people, oh, he's no Michael Schenker, but I was like,
whatever. You know what? This is a
this guy had some
man.
big shoes to fill, and I think he kicked ass.
Especially on this record. This album's just...
Yep. Alpha Centauri and Letting Go opener. Oh my god. That keyboard opener, Paul Raymond handled, you know, the way he does, and Letting Go is just a kick-ass rocker.
Mystery Train, bluesy rocker. Yep.
Fire Burns Tonight, Dawn in the Night. Really, there's not a bad
the
one.
title track is like,
oh yeah,
it's just, I don't know, it's like one of their defining songs to me.
Yep. No Place, Baby, Left to Run, Jungle Land.
Yep. That song, that's almost like a song that you could say this is what heavy metal became in the 1980s.
Yep. Youngblood's on here, which is, you know, it's kind of like a 50s remake. The whole album's solid. I love Paul Chapman. I think he was a suitable replacement for Schenker. And not only that, but he was part of the band while Schenker was in it early on, or just prior to Schenker, I think. He did fill in a little bit after, was it Bernie Marsden that was their original guitar player?
I can't remember now.
It's one of those guys who went on. But Chapman was in there for a little period of time prior to Schenker, and then replaced him afterwards, which is cool.
So anyhow, next up.
Joe Perry.
Yep, left Aerosmith. Bummer, every Aerosmith fan in the world hated it, but you know what? Gave us a freaking awesome record from the Joe Perry project. Some of these songs could have been Aerosmith songs, and in fact, some of them were supposed to be Aerosmith songs.
Well, Let the Music Do the Talking probably was supposed to be, and then ended up being anyway.
And
I always preferred this one.
Yep, and then, yeah, because I thought the version done with Mirrors wasn't quite as good as this one.
Yep. It was cool hearing Steven Tyler handle it, but he couldn't have done it without this one.
Right. Yeah, so, Shooting Star.
Yes.
Conflict of Interest. Discount Dogs.
Yep.
Not a bad song, and I always love this album cover. And then again, talking about the album covers. Love this album cover.
There's a cut on here, I think it's, what's the one that goes da 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 da. No, that's
Night in the Ruts.
There's one that has a similar riff on here. It's Conflict of Interest, Discount Dogs, or Shooting Star. One of those, and it sounds really familiar to Dick Eye by Jerry Cantrell. The riff, like they just sound like they are related to each other. I can't remember which one offhand. But sorry, going from memory here.
So the band here was a lot of these guys went on to join other bands: Ralph Mormon, David Hall, Ronnie Stewart. But
how many were these? Were those three on the second record?
No,
they weren't.
All
okay,
different. Yep, all different. Yeah. I think there might have been one guy who went with him. I don't know. We'll get that in the 1981 video. Yeah, it was one of them. But yeah, Joe Perry Project. Yeah, Joe was wrecked.
A little.
So, and there he was playing dives and clubs, and I would have loved to have seen it.
But it's raw, man. It's good rock and roll.
It's a
really
great album. I mean,
And
he was just. It's guitar heavy rock. Matter of fact, we did a radio show last night, and we threw one of these cuts in with Hendrix and Frank Marino, and and it just fit right in with all those kind of guys.
What song was it?
It was off this album. I think it might have been Discount Dogs.
I can't remember.
I don't know.
I was a little wretch.
Yeah. Oh, and the Mist is Rising's on there
I went
too.
to Scotland. I came back and I couldn't even remember a talk.
The Mist is Rising is on there too. Anyhow.
Yeah, Mist is Rising. That's the
it.
one. That's a great cut. All right, so we are getting into new wave of British heavy metal territory now. 1980 was a banner year for this stuff. Classic. Def Leppard, the new wave of British heavy, not metal band.
Oh no,
as they claimed later.
Clearly, this is a pop record.
This album is full of new wave of British heavy metal licks that just are like riffs and licks. And just,
Hello America,
oh,
Rock
God.
Brigade.
Yeah, it could be you and Satellite, Answer to the Master. That it don't matter. Pete Willis couldn't not play new wave of British heavy metal if he tried.
Yeah.
So it's
The thing
classic
about that whole thing is,
Leppard
if Def Leppard wants to go pop. Go pop. Who cares? You do whatever you want to do.
Why do you have to make this
Why do you
big
have to
declaration?
make a big? Oh, we were never a metal band.
Yeah,
Baloney.
That's all marketing, Joe.
Yeah.
That's all marketing. So shut up and just play the music that you were good at.
But hey, hey Joe, I appreciate you. You inspired me to write a song called Never. So hey.
I'm not softening it up. Oh yeah, that's right.
Def Leppard.
All right. So the same year, prior to On Through the Night, there was the Wasted single Backed with Hello America. These are different albums, different versions that were on the album.
A little more raw.
Yeah, very cool versions of that one. And then we had the Hello America single, which had a non-album B-side called Good Morning Freedom.
Yeah.
So all these were 1980.
It's weird how the whole new wave of British heavy metal were like obsessed with getting over to America.
Oh yeah, especially that one. Yeah. Hello America. It's like, okay.
Yep.
More so than the Beatles.
All right, this next one we both have one to show at the same time. We should.
What's that one?
This is.
Oh yeah.
This is
That
one of the leaders of the new wave of British heavy metal. First album came out in '79. In 1980, they released 2 records. We couldn't leave one out.
No, we couldn't.
There's no way to leave one of these 2 out. So it's Saxon with Wheels of Steel and
Strong Arm of the Law.
Yep, both classics. I mean,
Oh,
you can play them back to back, and it's just.
oh yeah.
There's
There's not
great.
a bad song on them.
I mean, Motorcycle Man, Freeway Mad, 747, Wheels of Steel, Machine Gun.
Oh yeah.
That's like almost early thrash metal right there.
And
Machine
we
Gun.
got Heavy Metal Thunder, To Hell and Back Again, Strong Arm of the Law, Taking Your Chances, 20,000 Feet, Dallas 1 p.m.
This is It's like
This-
these 2 albums right here you could just release greatest hits Saxon, and it would be these 2 albums, and it'd be a perfect record.
So this one, I got 3 covers of this one. That's the gatefold
That's the gatefold
original
here.
cover. I got a gatefold, non-gatefold original cover, and then I have a Canadian cover that was black. This was the one I had. I never saw and this one has a different set list, a different track list, completely out of order from the other one. So when I first heard that one, I was like, hey, this is all wrong.
Yeah.
I just had this one. I prefer the black one just because it was the first one I had.
And here's the gatefold inside of it.
Yep. All kinds of killer
Classic
pictures of the
shots.
band on
Yep.
the road and on stage. Oh man, great albums. Definitely this, Wheels of Steel, Strong Arm of the Law, and the next one, Denim and Leather.
Yeah, I mean,
Some of my favorites.
if you're a metalhead and you don't have those in your collection, then
You probably should.
Your spoon done fell out of your bowl. All right, next.
This is pretty classic new wave of British heavy metal
Yep.
stuff. We've got 2 singles that came out. This is Diamond Head. First 2 singles. First single, Shoot Out the Lights, Backed with Helpless.
Yep.
You know Metallica's version of Helpless.
Mhm.
A lot of people discovered Diamond Head because of Metallica.
Yeah.
I didn't. I discovered them because of Megadeth.
That's funny.
Oddly enough, because the first time I saw Megadeth was in a club and they were a 3-piece. Dave was wearing a Diamond Head shirt, and I thought the logo was so cool. I was like, I gotta go find some. I found their Borrowed Time album the next day, which one of my all-time favorites. And then we got Sweet and Innocent, Back with Streets of Gold. Both of these singles are on the Diamond Head label. Happy Face Records, they called the label.
Yeah.
So the singles came first, and then we've got the original White Album.
Lightning to the Nations.
Yeah, which morphed into Lightning to the Nations, and that's the commonly accepted title. The original one, hand autographed by the 4 members,
Right.
it just comes in a plain
White sleeve. Yeah, a lot of them did. And that wasn't unusual for a new wave of British heavy metal.
Nope.
A lot of them even had like hand drawn on them and stuff like that. And,
Yeah.
But a lot of those new wave British heavy metal bands had autographed, like the first release and like the first Raven album. There's a ton of autographed
And this
copies.
is like, they took the cue from the punk movement, very do-it-yourself. That's what was part of what was great about the new wave of British heavy metal.
And then here's the
this one came out on Wolf Records.
Yep.
A little bit later, and 7 songs. I mean, just over an EP.
but
Lightning to the Nations, The
Prince, Sucking My Love, Am I Evil, Sweet Innocent, It's Electric, Helpless.
Yeah, original version Am I Evil.
It's not a bad
I
song on
preferred the
here.
one on Borrowed Time, but this is classic. Most Diamond Head fans will cite this one as their absolute favorite. My second favorite. I got Borrowed Time first, and I fell in love with that album.
I just showed that record in a video recently, and Borrowed Time is one of my favorites as well.
Oh, yeah.
Plus the cover art on Borrowed Time.
Yeah. It's Rodney Matthews, and
Exactly.
it's cover art of Elric from the Michael Moorcock books. So
So there you go.
yep.
All right,
Diamond
next
Head.
up, sticking with the new wave of British heavy metal, the first full-length album from Girl School,
Yes.
Demolition.
Love those girls.
People call them the female Motorhead. Why not? I mean,
Only,
that's
they toured with Motorhead. How many females can say they toured with Motorhead and survived?
and they recorded with Motorhead.
Yes, that
And
too.
and I'm sure they did a little bit of drinking with Motorhead.
They did other things with Motorhead too.
I don't know.
One
I
of the
don't know about
famous
that.
ones is I think it was Kim McAuliffe, one of the singers, guitar players. Her and Kelly Johnson.
Kelly's other one, he passed away.
Yes, Kelly did just a few
Yep.
years ago. There's a story that Fast Eddie Clark told. They were sitting in the lobby of some hotel, and Kim said to him, "Well, you want to go watch Old Gary Whistle Test?" Which was kind of like her hitting on him to bring him upstairs, and that's what happened according to legend. But he just, I think that's in Lemmy's White Line Fever book.
Man,
Lemmy
Lemmy
was told that story.
Great book. Anyhow, Girl School, heavy record, heavy riffs, a little bit of a punky vibe to it.
Yep.
But I think a lot of those new wave British heavy metal bands kind of had a little bit of a punky vibe.
Oh, yeah.
Vibe. Like the first Tigers of Pang Tang, very
Yep.
punky.
Very.
And although Steve Harris will deny it to the hilt, those first 2 Iron Maiden records,
You can't separate that punk do-it-yourself credo with from the new wave of British heavy
no
metal
way.
movement, because it was integral to it.
Yep. So great record. Every song on here is just memorable. Emergency is on here, which is probably one of their most well-known songs. Run with the Devil.
Yep.
What else is on here?
Remember the Devil is a Gun cover.
Yep. Demolition Boys.
Emergency. You already said that one.
Yep. Deadline. Breakdown. Midnight Ride.
Take It All Away. I love
Yep.
that song. Great.
It's not a bad song on here.
And Girl School, to me, hold the distinction of being one of those rare female bands that rock as hard as the men do.
Yep, no doubt.
I mean, you can
And they're
go
still
hard in
around.
that group, and
They're still putting stuff out.
they are. They got and I think it's mainly, I think Kelly being dead and all, was the only one that was
Only one that's
replaced.
replaced, exactly.
And her replacement was handpicked by herself. So
Correct. Yep.
I think the other 3 are still kicking. The original bass
I
player.
think they're going on over 30 years now. So.
Yep.